in that area, and yet this body is then authorized to make those decisions for them before that plan is completed. I think it's a little disingenuous and unfair to the community when they're still trying to develop their plan. Just a suggestion, that kind of guidance would have been very helpful to this council last time, especially since you were unable to attend. Obviously, I believe there's issues with how we ask applicants to come forward to us on a per project basis instead of a per use basis. I understand the reasoning for it. I don't have a solution. Maybe some others have better ideas. I will also not be supporting this because, quite blatantly, I feel lied to. Thank you.
Mr. Yoshimoto, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, we've heard a lot about this, and it's good that the people that come to testify basically letting us know, you know, what has transpired, what has happened, what representations were being made. And, you know, I'll keep it short. I'm not going to be supporting this. Mr. Gloss has done his due diligence and listened to the constituents, so I think it's pretty clear. I won't comment on the other topic because I don't think that's pertinent to today, but I'll be voting against this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
I have a comment, sir.
Okay, great. Go ahead, Mr. Pilago.
Thank you for the opportunity, Chair. I will be not supporting this bill for a number of reasons, three of which are it's likely that this type of rezoning and land use is a possible conflict with the community development plan, so that needs to be taken into account. The other thing is there's marked and vociferous community opposition towards this project, and we have to take that into account. But my duty on this county council is to make sure that whatever rezoning we do benefits a community as a whole. In this instance, I do not support rezoning because I feel this application is one based on speculation. Because of that, I will not support this bill. Thank you.
Any further discussion regarding Bill 209? Seeing none, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Gloss?
No.
Ms. Ford? No. Mr. Hoffman?
No.
Mr. Ikeda?
No.
Mr. Onishi?
No.
Mr. Pilago?
No.
Ms. Smart? No. Ms. Yoshimoto?
No.
Chair Yvonne?
No.
Chair Yvonne, you have no ayes.
Thank you. Bill 209 fails. Council members are requested to take Resolution 270-12 out of order. 270-12 is on
Page 5, bottom, sir.
Very good. Page 5, bottom of the page. Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Resolution 270-12 requests the Office of the Legislative Auditor to conduct a performance and financial audit of the Department of Environmental Management. Requests the Office of the Legislative Auditor to conduct a performance and financial audit of the Department of Environmental Management, and that they add this request to its fiscal year 2010-2012 annual audit plan. States that the findings and recommendations of the auditor intended to assist county government in its management of public resources, delivery of public services, and stewardship of public trust. This resolution was introduced by Mr. Pilago and waived by the Finance Committee.
Mr. Pilago.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Motion to approve Resolution 270-12.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hoffman. Go ahead, Mr. Pilago.
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman, for the second. Thank you, Chair Yukon, for taking this item out of order. I'll be very brief. This department has shown a lack of openness, and in that practice has harmed the public trust, both in this administration and this county council. This resolution, I feel, will help the Department of Environmental Management improve that trust by giving the department another chance to be forthright and to be open. Our council has shown our good faith by approving this department's budget request in the recent weeks and the recent couple months. In line with that, this resolution will reestablish communication lines between this council and the Department of Environmental Management, and will reaffirm our partner and joint commitment towards our county. Our staff has had courtesy contacts with the legislative auditor. At our urging, we kept it at a minimal level to protect the auditor's credibility and also to support the auditor's office and its independence and autonomy, and to fulfill our county council's sunshine law requirements. So we didn't want to engage in too further discussion in light of that. Lastly, we invite the county council members to amend this resolution as they see fit, because we believe that a broad council input will strengthen the resolve of this audit. And with that, sir, I close and ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pilago. Mr. Hoffman, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Pilago. I certainly agree with the scope and tenor of what we're trying to say. I see a sacrificial lamb from the Department of Environmental Management in the audience. Would you please come forward?
Thank you for being here. Introduce yourself to the microphone for the record, please.
Robin Bauman, I'm the business manager for the Department of Environmental Management.
Thank you, Robin. I'm just out of curiosity, you're aware of the scope and tenor of the particular resolution that's being put forward. Have you had any opportunity to speak with Ms. Schrank or anybody from the Legislative Auditor's Office regarding the possibility of working with them on this?
No, I have not.
Okay, but I'm assuming that the Department of Environmental Management would be very willing to sit down with our legislative auditor and at least try to scope the general outline of the issues. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Hang on for a minute, Robin. Can I ask Colleen to come forward, Ms. Schrank? My question involves exactly what Mr. Pilago, I think, put very well and succinctly, and that is the scope of an audit of this nature, given where we are. And you've had an opportunity to speak with them. Are you seeking support or help from the council in specifics regarding the audit, or do you have some ideas as to how you would wish to see this done that we could incorporate into this?
Even though we ran into a glitch, yesterday we did issue the surveys for the updated risk assessment. And the council members, as well as management of the Department of Environmental Management, division heads, and actually program managers should have also received surveys. So I guess to put it all in a nutshell, that is our attempt to not just make it up to us to decide where the risk is or where we need to focus our efforts, but to get the input of yourselves and the administration and key stakeholders as to where they feel the risks are. As far as Mr. Pilago's resolution, I absolutely, I'm thrilled that this came forward because while we are independent, we should be attempting to address those areas of concern of the council, the administration, and the public when we're doing our audits and allocating our resources. So I welcome this because it helps us to know where, it's one more way for us to know where the council feels the problems are. This is quite broad, and as Mr. Pilago said, he was open to other members of the council helping to narrow the scope because I sat this morning for about 5 minutes and came up with at least 35 different audit scopes in that time that we could cover for the Department of Environmental Management. So because we only have actually 4 audit staff and limited time, it would be very helpful for us to know more specifically what your concerns are, what information it is you're looking for, so that we can get a manageable scope for an audit.
Thank you, Colleen. I accept exactly what you're saying. Let me ask, though, I have one more question and then a comment. This proposal or resolution was generated based on something other than what might be looked at the common terms of a risk assessment. This was generated on the difficulty that we had, that there was a pilot program out there and a whole series of other things that went to the heart of public perception of the county government and so on. Do you see this audit covering a different scope than what you would have normally looked at if you're only looking at financial reports or details or contracts?
Again, the risk assessment that we've just issued, we're trying to survey, looking at actually 5 major, what we call major risk categories, and they are not just financial. Financial is one of the 5. Public perception is actually one of the areas that we're trying to include in that risk assessment. And you know, so it's not outside the scope of what we're trying to take into consideration when we decide what we're going to audit. Public perception is actually can be a problem area or an area of risk, along with health and safety, again, financial risk, legal and compliance risk. So we are not looking strictly at the as traditionally would be looked at the financial risk.
Okay, colleagues, I would love to try to sit down and contribute, as Mr. Pilago points out. My difficulty here, though, is, quite frankly, until I got the agenda item, since this item was waived, I didn't know that I would have an opportunity or should be included in trying to participate. And until I read the agenda, which was not until a day or two ago, I didn't know this was going to be here. And my difficulty is trying to put something into this. I don't think I can do that intelligently unless I have a little more time. I'm not asking that we postpone this now. All I'm saying is, in trying to provide some reasonable additions or supplements to this resolution, I don't think I can do it right now today. So I'm making that as a statement, and if others feel that way, maybe there's some other way we can address this. But I do ask Department of Environmental Management's assistance on this. We need, in my opinion, to put Department of Environmental Management, the public, and this council back on the same sheet of music. And I'm sorry to say I don't think that's happened. No one's necessary. I'm not going to blame anybody. I'm just saying we aren't in sync. And there's a whole list of things that need to be done, Robin. And the audit is, I think, a great way to move that different relationship forward. Thank you.
Ms. Smart? I'm sorry, Ms. Smart was Ms. Smart?
Yeah, and then it was Mr. Ikeda followed by Ms. Ford. Thank you, Ms. Strand, and thank you, Mr. Pilago, for putting this forward. And I got to admit, I was a bit floored that this was waived out of committee as well, because I could really talk about this for a long time, so I'll try and keep it brief. One of my main concerns really was similar to what Ms. Strand just stated. She said in 5 minutes she came out with 35 different possible audits that could be done in terms of Department of Environmental Management. I did it myself in the car ride. You could do equipment maintenance and repair plan, personnel, and even personnel has a whole list of different categories. You could do, I wanted to clear up a public comment. One of the comments from a public testifier said that we should not just audit DEM, but also look at the solid waste division contracts. I wanted to clarify that it would include the solid waste division in terms of contracts, the different programs that the department runs. I think public outreach, the commission. So I appreciate Mr. Pilago's request for council members to put in input, because I think in order to make sure we are getting information that is helpful to this council, we at least help establish a priority list. Not necessarily remove the scope of the entire department, but at least put in a priority list to help show the Leg Auditor where we want her to look first, what information we want to see come out of the audit first. One of them could be the department's action on any council policy that has been passed. Where are those at? That could be one area to look at as well. I understand this is a bit reactionary, and honestly, I agree. Thank you again, Mr. Pilago. I really appreciate the opportunity to discuss this. I want to also remind council members that the department has already done, the Leg Auditor has already done 2 audits, performance audits on the department, and I believe there was a 3rd one scheduled for the wastewater accounts, but that was postponed due to some action on the department's end. So I would like to request the ledge auditor, if we move forward with this, to at least take a look at recommendations made in those past audits and see where we've come from there. Have we taken any action? Has the department taken any action? Or did we just accept that report and kind of stick it on the shelf and forget about it? I'd also like to hear an update on where we are with that third proposed audit. Is that still moving forward? Is the department still doing a lot of internal stuff? Yeah, Colleen, I'll stop there and give you a chance to respond to some of my comments.
We've actually completed one audit and a follow-up to that audit to look at the implementation of the recommendations. And that was looking at the recycling and diversion programs. And I don't know off the top of my head, that was the first audit. It was quite a large scope, and I think we got a little carried away and had something like 99 recommendations in the audit. So I know some of those have been implemented and some have not, but I really can't tell you the percentage off the top of my head. One of the things to let you know that my office is putting together is we've designed a database to track the audits, the findings, and the recommendations with the hope that we will start on a regular basis, semi-annually or annually, sending the findings out to the applicable department and asking them for an update on the status of implementation, with the intent of then coming back to council and giving you a report as to the status of implementation. And I think it'll help, hopefully help the departments as well to keep, they've got a lot going on, so it'll kind of, put a little reminder in their cap too as to what's still open and let the council know where we are.
Thank you. I just want to also say thank you for one of the points, the 5 major performance points being public perception. And I think another one would be public communication, not just with members of the public, but with the commission and this council as well, just the transparency of the department. I won't make the motion at this time, but I would support a postponement because I also was not aware that we would be given the opportunity to provide input on this. I thought it was going to go up and down as is, and while I appreciate the scope, I think in order to get the true information council members may want, we may want to put forward a priority list to kind of give guidance to the ledge auditor of where to start in the department. Thank you.
Mr. Ikeda, you have the floor. Mr. Ikeda, you have the floor.
I agree with Ms. Smart. I had the same idea because when you say the environmental management division, it's a big division. So where do you go? And Colleen, it'll take you about 2 years to do the whole division. So yeah, so we do need a priority list, and it's kind of hard because I know you did some audits on the environmental management, and so I guess we have to go back, revisit, and give you some kind of direction where we think is the most important to audit right now. And I think the biggest concern I believe is the solid waste area, where especially the transportation of taking the our waste to West Hawaii, and I believe that's what Mr. Pilago was really concerned about. And so I think we should, kind of focus a little more, narrow our scope of the audit. And I believe we do need to make a priority list on what we really want. So, Angel, if you don't mind, I think we should postpone this, and we'll come back with suggestions later on. I think the scope is a little too broad right now. Thank you.
Okay, there's no motion on the floor to postpone. Well, let's go to Ms. Ford.
Thank you. I appreciate everyone allowing us to have this discussion. Colleen, you talked about 5 broad areas. I got 4 of them. I must have missed one. Financial, public perception, health and safety, legal compliance,
and public purpose.
Public purpose. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to be looking forward to answering and responding to your risk assessment on this particular issue. I have to agree with both Ms. Smart and Mr. Ikeda. The biggest problem we have is what triggered this whole thing. which was a non-transparent, quote, pilot project, unquote, to transport solid waste to Kona. It was devastating, I think, to the mayor's office to have him stand up in Kona and said, no plan to transfer waste across the island from the east to the west, and then find out 3 days later in the paper it's been going on for weeks. It's public perception is not a figment of the public's imagination in this case. The public perception is the reality that secret things are going on, and it's not your fault, Robin. I know you're, as Pete said, the sacrificial lamb today, so I'm not directing any of this at you. But the public perception is quite accurate, that there are things going on, contracts perhaps for things, overtime perhaps being paid. We don't know right now what everything is, that has happened. So when I answer my responses to you are going to include things like, I want you to take a look at all the contracts in solid waste then, because we keep, instead of issuing and awarding contracts, we keep adding on another 6 months, another 6 months. I really don't understand the purpose of all that. While contracts and RFPs are being written, it's gone on for years, and it needs to come to a screeching halt. We need to be a lot more transparent. We need to award contracts, not just talk about them. But the transportation of the waste to Kona was, I think, devastating as far as public purpose. The public's been very clear about not transporting waste from the east side to the west side. And in my opinion, we shouldn't be doing it in the opposite direction, barring a state of emergency, like the tsunami stuff hits us and we have to clean it up. So I am very, very disappointed in the department and in the mayor regarding this, quote, pilot project, unquote. It wasn't right, it wasn't fair, it wasn't reasonable. And couching it as a pilot project, to me, just doesn't cover the issue. So we're going to have to find out what else is going on in that department that we haven't been made aware of. And that's what distresses me. Because it wasn't just a matter of you did this one thing. To me, it's what else are you doing? And that really bothers me. I think Mr. Pilago has really done a fine thing in asking for this audit. I do agree that we probably need to narrow the focus somewhat, but I can tell you that contracts are a big issue for me, and this particular project is a huge issue. So with that, I'm going to yield.
Let's go to the maker of the all the comments made. Go ahead, Mr. Pilago. Your comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, sir, for this opportunity. Earlier, it was mentioned that our representative from Finance, Robin, is a sacrificial lamb. I wish to let everyone know I do not see her as that. I see Robin and our auditor Strand as actual heroes in this process, because they begin to forge the bridge of all that it is that we're supposed to be. When I first heard about this trucking of trash from east away to west away, I was really very, very angry. And I was angry for that for a long, long time. But I needed to find a way to manage that in a better way. And I knew my council members felt the same way. What I needed to do was to find a way to disengage our county council from the department and begin to move on a better footing and a better process. I wanted us to look back at the bridges and the partnerships that we could build, and to call on people like Robin and like Ms. Strand to look at the human nature and the human quality of who and what we are. And if it could bring politics to that level, I would be pleased. One of the things that would help us in allowing a broad reach and a broad stroke in this case is because I would like to believe this is only a very small and isolated problem and not necessarily a systemic issue. It may lead to that, but I don't know. But it's not my call. in the spirit of compromise, with those things said, again, in the spirit of compromise, I will support a motion to postpone so we could build a stronger document than it is now and invite others to join our purpose. And with that, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Did anyone wanna, any other comments before we ask for a motion to postpone? Mr. Onishi, did you wanna say something? Anybody? Okay, if not, Mr. Hoffman?
Move to postpone further consideration on resolution 270-12 to the call of the chair.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Pilago. Okay, motion is to move to postpone to the call of the chair. Go ahead, Ms. Fisher.
I don't know if it's the mechanism the council would like to use. Again, I think the resolution is a wonderful tool to give us information, but I do want to also point out that the council does have the risk assessment that allows them to also indicate more than just the Department of Environmental Management, but county-wide where you feel the areas of concern or problems are that you would like us to give a higher priority to. So that tool is there as well.
I think the motion to postpone is appropriate. If there's going to be any recommendations, specific recommendations in terms of the scope of the audit, it should be done in this format. It should be part of the resolution so that the public understands versus a survey that we're going to do and send to you. I'd like to see it transparent, right here, so everyone has an opportunity to take a look at it. So what I will do is when you folks are ready to bring forth specific recommendation, then we'll bring this back onto the council for consideration. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Hoffman.
I just make a comment to my council colleagues while we postpone this to the call of the chair. We don't have to dawdle too long about this. This shouldn't be something we're looking at 5 months from now. We should be able to at least have the scope of this up, say, within a 1 or 2 more meetings, certainly the beginning of next month. I could see that happening. So I would just urge a little, effort on the part of the council to get the scope of this back to the chair so that we can put forward a reasonable amendment to this resolution. Right?
I don't see us going past next meeting. I really see this coming up soon, as quick as the next meeting. Any further discussion on motion to postpone? Seeing none, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Blunt. Ms. Ford. Mr. Hoffman. Mr. Ikeda. Mr. Onishi. Mr. Pilago.
Aye.
Ms. Smart. Ms. Yoshimoto. Chair Yukon.
Aye.
Chair Van Gepner. Aye.
Thank you. Bill 229 is postponed to the call of the chair. Council members, if you don't mind, I'm sorry, resolution 270-12. Postponed to the call of the chair. We're gonna go to page 7, Bill 229, then I'll take yours right after that, if you don't mind. Let's go to Bill 229 on page 7.